This meeting is being recorded.
Well, good afternoon to everyone who is beginning to join us. My name is Megan Petsko, and I'm the director in the Graduate Tax Program here at Villanova University. I'm really excited and grateful to be joined by a panel today of our students and alumni, and a graduating student actually, who have volunteered their time this afternoon to talk a bit about their experience in the program, give their tips and insights, and just share what it's been like for them in their years pursuing the graduate tax program. We will be recording today's session, so if you are just joining us or joining late, we will be able to send this out to you, or if you have to leave early for some reason. I want to mention that as this is a webinar, you will be automatically muted and with your camera off as an attendee, so you don't have to worry about changing any of those settings. At the bottom of your screen, you'll see a toolbar and two options to either chat or send a message through Q&A. We will be monitoring those throughout the webinar, so if you have a question you would like to ask the panel, please send it through there, and we'll make sure that it is asked during the Q&A portion of our presentation today. Before I begin and start sharing my slides, I again just want to thank our panelists and introduce my colleagues who are joining us today as well, Tim Dinan and Catherine Coker. Those of you who are on the webinar listening in may have heard from Tim or Catherine as our assistant directors of admission. They will be reaching out or may have already reached out to you, so you may have seen their name before, and here they are live and in person joining today. And I will go over our agenda quickly and then ask the panelists to introduce themselves. I'm going to go over some information about our program and then kick it over to Catherine and Tim to facilitate questions for our panel today. So thank you again for taking time out to join us, and we'll get started. All right. Okay. Okay, and I've already gone over our agenda. As I mentioned, we'll spend the bulk of the time today with the panelists and asking questions, and we'll close out with an admission overview and our deadline information. But again, if you have a question that you want to ask about the program or for one of our panelists, please use either the chat function or the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. Okay, so within the umbrella of the graduate tax program here at Villanova, we have 2 degree options and we have 3 certificate options. Before I delineate between the degrees, I want to start out by saying that the degree options can be easily combined with the certificate. So if you are interested in specializing in a particular area of tax, as we have listed here below, employee benefits, estate planning, or state and local taxation, or SALT, you can easily do that with our degree options. So the first is the Master of Taxation, or as we call it, the MT. The MT is for those who have a business background, whether that's in accounting, tax, may be certified financial planners, or maybe making a transition from a different part of accounting into tax or a different area of business into tax. It is a 30 credit hour program. It is split up between 6 core courses, which everyone takes in both the MT and LLM degrees, and then also requires 6 electives. You can earn the degree in as few as 2 years if you go each of our 8-week sessions. Most students finish it in, I would say, closer to 2.5 years or 3 years. But all students have 5 years to complete the degree. We really stress in our graduate tax program, the idea of flexibility. The graduate tax program was founded at Villanova in 1980. And when it was created, it was designed to be for part-time working professionals. So it's, people who are working full-time during the week, and then cutting, time in their schedule for class during an evening, and then doing the readings and work on the weekends. That's who we've always been dedicated to. That's our foundation. And that continued when we launched an online format in 2014. So as part of that, we really stress convenience, needing to take a session off if you need to, flexibility around when it works for you to go to school. For example, if, you need to take a break during busy seasons, vacation during, the summer months with family, like you can carve out the path that works for you. Our Master of Laws in Taxation, or as we call it, the LLM degree, is for attorneys who have graduated from a law school approved by the American Bar Association or completed all requirements to practice law in a foreign country. Now, since candidates are coming to the LLM already earning a 90 or 91 credit hour Juris Doctor degree, LLMs only require a 24 credit requirement for the degree. And that is uniform across all law schools, that LLMs have a 24 credit requirement. With the 24 credits, you're taking the 6 core classes, the same as the MT students, but then only need 3 electives to complete the LLM. The LLM can be earned in as few as 18 months if you, go back-to-back sessions. But again, there's that level of flexibility, and that you have up to 5 years to complete that degree. And just to touch base on our approach to learning, and this is a picture, and actually in this picture, you'd be able to see our panelist, Amy S. in here, as she walked in graduation in May. So this is actually my new favorite picture of all time. This approach to learning was carefully constructed by our full-time faculty members, Professor Joy Moline and Professor Les Book, who both teach in the program to this day. And they also teach in our JD curriculum here at the law school. After doing research and polling other law programs, other tax programs, meeting with peers, they found in their research that adult learners in particular learn best when they have some kind of active engagement in their learning. And this is sort of antithesis to the way learning used to be done, which was, a student would come sometime during the week. They would take class either 6 to 8 at night or 8 to 10 on campus. The professor would show up and would lecture for 2 hours. Students would scribble notes, go home, and take a final at the end. No intermittent quizzes or anything like that. And all the learning was crammed at the end. The studies that Professor Moline and Professor Book consulted with found that, when there are midpoint assessments, or when students have opportunities for more discussion and more models of learning, such in different formats as, question and answer, watching, videos that you're able to break down fact patterns, combined with a weekly lecture or class discussion time, resulted in better outcomes. So as part of their pedagogical design, they created a format of having low or no stake question and answers, which we call foundation and bridge questions in our program. Foundation questions is sort of exactly what it sounds like it's doing. It's building the acumen for the subject matter of that week and objective of the course, complemented by bridge questions, which present a problem to be solved or a fact pattern to work through that applies the code or the reg or the discussion point of that week. Now, as I touched on a little bit in my introductory slide, we stress flexibility and convenience in the program. It's really a hallmark of the program, and something that we were able to really focus on when this moved to an online format. And that was the introduction of 8-week classes. So in the 8-week session format, we can have students take one class at a time, still earn, a full class within a semester, but only focus on that one class at a time. So there's no more, having to take 2 classes at once in a semester, back-to-back class nights. It's one class within 8 weeks, those 8 weeks end, and then the next class starts. It also allows students to have more flexibility in taking off a session when they need to. It used to be that, if someone had spring as their busy season, they had to sit out the whole semester and miss all of that opportunity for learning, and it would slow down their progress to graduation. Now we have students who could, take a class January through end of February, and then maybe just sit out March and April. Or for our students that work on corporate taxes, they sit out September and early October and take a class after October 15th that ends in early December. So the 8-week format really introduced that level of convenience and individualized planning that our part-time students and working professionals really needed. It also affords us multiple start dates where students can start in either summer, fall, or spring instead of being locked into only beginning in the fall or only beginning in January. The panel that's joining me today will be able to speak to that a bit more. Some students take advantage of that, and others are able to, strategize their time and plan to not take a break in between 8-week classes. It's just more letting you know that that layer of flexibility is going to be there and can help you with planning out your life while you're in the program. So I'm going to pause my slides now and ask our panelists to introduce themselves, and then turn it over to Tim and Catherine to ask questions. So Amy B., if you want to go first and introduce yourself, I will stop sharing my slides now so that we have the full view of the panelists. So go ahead, Amy.
I'm Amy Bevzian. I'm a CPA in Georgia, and I'm in my last class of the MT program, and I'm specializing in SALT.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Amy. That's right. I forgot you are a SALT person, so we'll be able to see how that has, I guess, affected the classes you were choosing, obviously, since you're going to be graduating with both the MT and the SALT certificate. Eli, I'll pass it to you.
Hi, I'm Elijah Otterpool. I go by Eli generally. I'm a CPA from Green Bay, Wisconsin. I'm currently in the Masters of Taxation program. I'm about halfway through my first year, so about 25% of the way done. And I am looking to get a certificate in the estate and gift planning as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And Amy S., we'll pass it to you.
I'm Amy. I graduated last May with an MT in taxation. I work for a public accounting firm. Prior to that, I have a master in business administration accounting from Rowan University. So.
And Amy, are you in the Philadelphia area now?
Yes.
That's
yes.
right. Okay.
Well, I started the program while living in the state of Louisiana.
That's what I thought.
I relocated to Philadelphia a month before graduation. So.
Yeah, talk about being busy during the program.
Right.
Awesome. Well, thank you, all three of you, for joining us today. So Tim and Catherine, I'll go and unmute and I'll pass it to you for you guys to start asking questions.
Awesome. Thank you, Megan. I will ask the first question. Amy B., I'm going to start with you. So Amy, you've been a tax leader for a number of years and already in the midst of a successful career before starting the program. Could you share what about the Villanova program interested you when you were conducting your program search?
Well, I'm always trying to keep up with changes and, there's been a lot of tax reform and we had a pandemic and all. So I was looking to go back to school and, and hone my skills. And there's a lot of value in being able to work on a specialty certificate in conjunction with the Masters of Taxation. So that's what I was after.
Thank you.
Great. And Amy, yes, we have this question for you as well. So you have an extensive background in business and financial services and accounting as well before you transitioned into tax. Could you talk about how and why you made that pivot in your career?
Yes, sure. For me, tax chose me. So I had, like I said, I was born and raised in Benin, West Africa. So I relocated to the United States in 2008 for my MBA in accounting. And because my background was in audit and auditing financial statement. So upon graduation from Rowan University as an international student, it was challenging to land an opportunity in accounting. So the first position that somebody gave me a chance in tax, they said, well, this is tax, is indirect tax. I mean, of course, you're going to look at financial statement, but it has to do with tax. And I said, why not? So that's how I was introduced to tax, did some indirect tax. Then later on, somebody else gave me a chance with state and federal taxes, preparing federal and state taxes, for multi-state corporation. And I'm like, oh, this topic sounds interesting. Like I had no idea what this is. And that was like my third year working in the field. And I said, why don't I go to school? So, and I wanted a school that has everything taxes so that I can be a subject matter expert because I'm practicing this field, but I had no idea. There's so many laws, there's so many things in the instruction. So that's how Villanova, came to mind. And I went through the admission and I enjoyed the program. So now I'm more confident with my practice because I have an idea of what they're talking about. Even when I'm reading the instruction, it wasn't as challenging as it was before joining the program. So I'm grateful for that.
Great. Thank you for sharing all that.
All right. I have the next question for Eli. So Eli, most students may not be familiar with a learning management system, but it's an integral part of our program. And so could you talk about the system that we use called Blackboard and how your experience with it has been?
Yeah, so coming into the program, I had some experience with learning management systems, not Blackboard. I think my undergrad used Moodle, so kind of a similar concept, but the best thing I can say about Blackboard, and this is a compliment, trust me, it's something that I never think about, you know what I mean? So I'm never constantly wondering like how to find something, why is it the way it is? It's always very easy, very straightforward, very simple. Like I can always find and get to where I need to be. And it's, like I said, I never even think about it. It's something it's just a very easy tool to use, and you shouldn't really have any difficulty with it, I wouldn't think,
That's good feedback.
Thank you.
And we have one here for Amy B. So one of our goals for students is to strengthen their skill set and knowledge base in the program, especially with our core classes. Could you talk about your experience in those core classes?
I would say this is my second master's. My first master's was in accounting, and I'm a working professional. But I would say these classes cemented my knowledge and understanding because we studied the theory and policy behind the practice. So that really helped me. And the classes are designed where you learn the material, and then you build on it. And so you're advancing your skill set. And so it really helped me a lot.
Great, thank you.
All right, Amy S., you excelled at managing so much in the program, both personally and professionally. Could you talk about how you worked on that balance and what tips you could offer?
So, well, Catherine, I would say one thing that really helped me, it was the design of the program. I will piggyback on what Amy B said, the content of each of the core classes and even the elective. For the 8 weeks, you have a plan of what's going to be discussed on the weekly classes. And also the professors really work with you to make sure, like, if you have questions, you can schedule a meeting with them. For me, it was challenging because, excuse me, during the program, I was pregnant. Then I had the baby. Then my mother passed. Then it was COVID. So all of that happened during the program. And I was grateful for Megan because I actually took my book to the delivery room. And then I'm like, Megan, I need to take off. So it's like the program really helped me, and everybody worked with me to make sure that I met my expectation personally and I understand the causes. So I had to take off for 8 weeks because I needed that to get my brain to where it needs to be. However, what makes that work was the design of the program, and the professors and everybody was into me succeeding, you know? So that really, really helped. And then, you know, with all these 8 week classes, there was, you can ask questions. And if you don't understand anything, like for me, I have to read the IRC code several times with a pregnant brain. And I had to reach out to my professor. Is there any book that I need to buy? Is there anything extra that I need to do? Like, I'm struggling here. So it was really, really helpful to be able to have all that support, the coordinator, the professors, Megan, like everybody is willing to talk to you and help you get what you want to be. And I graduated in May, so that was really helpful. So I wanted to say thank you to everybody. I have great professor, which is like I can even contact them if I have questions today. So that was really great.
Yeah, and I'm so first, Amy, I mean,
You
kudos
are
to
on
you.
mute.
Oh, am I off mute now?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. First, kudos to you because so many people would have just been like, I'm done. But you came back after having a baby and finished that program like a rock star. So kudos to you. You were an inspiration to all of us. Let me tell you, I talk about you all the time. But you know, I'm glad you mentioned the point about how accessible the professors are too, because that's so true. I mean, you finished the program, Amy B is close to finishing. Eli's about a quarter of the way done, but I hear from students all the time who still, well, now they're alumni, and they can still reach out to our faculty because our faculty are our practice experts. So, you know, if you have a client issue or, you know, you're wrestling with something you're not sure of, you know, I know our students still reach out to faculty just to get their insight. And, you know, that's the community we try and foster. And, you know, just putting it out there for those of us joining today, that's the kind of network you can come rely on. And, you know, you are also experts. And so, you know, we hear from students often that, you know, they're in a class and maybe their area of expertise is international, but they run into an issue that has to do with the state and gift, and they can ask one of their peers a question, because, you know, that's the beauty of this too, especially as we, you know, often have a lot of solo practitioners who don't have the resource of like a big office or a big firm, you know, to go to the international tax department or whatnot. And so, you know, their network becomes the professors and the students. So, you know, thank you for sharing that, Amy. And I'm glad to hear you feel that way. And I hope, you know, Eli and Amy B, you'll feel the same. But I didn't mean to interrupt. I just wanted to interject there as a great call out, and also to pay kudos where it's due for the rock star that she was during the program.
Thank you.
And Eli, we have a question for you. So now that, like you were talking about, definitely had a few classes in, about a quarter way through already. Could you share what the weekly live session has been like for you?
Yeah, like you said, I'm only a quarter of the way through. I'm currently in my fourth class, so anyone else can kind of correct me on the format of the live sessions. But so far, they've kind of been generally at the beginning, we go over the graded quiz from the week before. So it gives you an opportunity to kind of reinforce what you learned in the last weekly live session, while also maybe trying to figure out what you didn't know. You know, if you got questions wrong, you can ask the professor, they might just explain it further and you can figure it out then. And then after that, the professor usually goes over the reading for the week and the cases we read that were assigned and stuff like that. And for me, I kind of like, sometimes you can just kind of be in the background, take notes quietly if that's what you prefer, or you can be more engaged, ask questions, get clarification on things you weren't sure about. It's really up to you, whatever you're feeling that week. But usually the professors do a very good job of just reinforcing what you read, the assignments, and also just kind of giving more context to it, right? There was I don't want to get too deep into details, but there was a issue in Tax 2 I was just recently in where we read about it in the chapter, and then basically we got to class, the professor was like, yeah, but this probably won't ever happen in real life. So it was kind of like, okay, I don't need to worry about that then. So it was very helpful, and yeah, they usually are very respectful of your time as well. They don't go over an hour and a half or so, whatever the class is allotted for. And yeah, they're very, very helpful, the sessions, more than just the reading.
Great. Yeah, that's very helpful. Appreciate it.
Okay. Amy B, so now that you're wrapping up the program, what would you say was the most meaningful course for you while you're in the MT, and what tips do you have for future students?
There's quite a bit to that question, so help me make sure I answer it fully. So I'll start with the most meaningful course. I would say that would be partnerships, because those are the most complicated returns. And there's so much I didn't know about going into the course. But now, after having been through the course with my textbook, the cases we studied, and the regulations we studied, I'm pretty sure I can figure just about anything out. Like, I have a lot more confidence now with the more complicated tax structures. And that class was really challenging, but I also learned, you know, if you study an hour a day, you can just about excel in anything. And you will see a lot of growth and improvement along the way. And so that's just how I approached it. And I had a really strong finish to that course. And, you know, I developed a lot. And then I would say tips, you know, like I mentioned, studying it an hour a day, you know, don't wait to the last minute, everything in moderation. And what I found really valuable was that our professors are experts in the area, and I chose to specialize in the SALT program. So the professors are well known in the field, and they're knowledge experts, and they're willing to share everything that they know with you, and a lot of their experiences. And that's helped me a lot professionally. And the other thing is that their passion is to build us up and develop us into specialists in that area and in the field. And like Amy S. was saying, we can call them at any time, or, you know, run questions by them, network with them. Our classmates are specialists in the field as well. And so, you know, we have a great base of colleagues now that we can, you know, draw on. And so it's just been very beneficial I've made a lot of friends. I've learned a lot. It's been a really great experience.
Thank you so much for sharing all of that, Amy. And I have to say, I have to let Professor Mullane know that we got really good feedback about partnership tax. Because we always joke about that as, I mean, it's kind of a half joke, but it's a hard class.
Yeah,
But it's good to hear that, you know, having a good strategy going into it paid dividends. So thank you for sharing that.
absolutely.
And Amy, yes, we have one more question for you. So we know that of your goal, some of your goals with starting the program was become more of a subject matter expert. Could you talk about your progress on that goal and how the program helped you achieve that?
Yes, I am a subject matter expert now. So before I was in industry, now I'm in public accounting, and Villanova facilitated the fact that when I'm working on engagements, I can record the classes that I took and take my textbook and try to research the information, apply it before speaking to my manager or director on the engagement. So Villanova helped me gain that knowledge of knowing what to do and what to go look for. So even if I don't have an idea of what, you know, gift estate tax return is, and I recall my estate classes, I can go back to those, you know, weekly courses that I went through to try to scrub through it and remember, oh, we talk about this in the program. So I'm not totally not knowing what's happening. I have an idea of anything that's happening. Any meaning when they're talking about changes in stuff, even because I'm working for manufacturing and C Corps mainly, but I do some partnership return, I do some S Corp return, and I do some individual tax return. So Villanova had helped me gain that knowledge in a way that I'm able to apply it today. Whereas before I was industry working on one company and try to understand what this is, and it was just on a C call. But now I can navigate through all the return. I can take on more responsibilities and not being like freaked out. Oh, I don't know what this is. Well, I don't know what this is, but I can figure it out with my MT in taxation. That's what I gain from that. And that's what I love about it, because all the courses talk about taxes. So, and research. So you gain knowledge of what you are going to apply, if that makes sense. That's what I'm saying. So.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, and you know, that does make sense. As I should have said this at the beginning, as the three of you know, I am not a tax practitioner. My passion is higher ed and helping students, but you know, we talk about that the program, it may not have all the answers, but we want you to walk away with being able to find the right code or find the application to the problem. So Amy, thank you for outlining that you know, you feel like you've walked away with the knowledge to be able to do that on your own. So thank you.
All right, Eli, you're the finale to this panel of experts. So as Megan's already talked about, the program is set up and structured in 8-week class cycles. So what strategies do you think have been helpful for you in balancing, you know, your life commitments, your work commitments with, you know, the 8-week class structure?
Yeah, so for me, it's been very helpful to kind of set up a kind of informal schedule for what I want to do each day of the week. But then I also, in my head, always have to be prepared for that to just completely be blown up. Like it might just completely not go to plan at all. But you have to be ready for that, because in 2 years of taking classes, like the chance that a whole week's gonna get blown up is probably gonna happen at some point in 2 years. Like, so you have to really be able to like be adaptive and think on your feet a little bit. But it definitely does help though to give yourself a few like a window to do things, because otherwise, right, you'll put stuff off to the last minute, you won't get stuff done that you need to do. So it's like I said, it's kind of being flexible and rigid, like at the same time. So yeah, that's been what's helpful for me.
Yeah, thank you. I think that is the best approach. You're right, Eli, and that's where we've heard success. And, you know, I know both the Amy's have had that as well. Like managing your time is incredibly important. There are going to be things that come up in the program where, you know, you have to put work first or family first or your health first. You know, and then there's other times where you're able to put some things on the back burner and make school first. But you know, that balance is the key to success, and whatever that may look like is totally individualized. So thank you for going over that and giving those specifics. And thank you, Catherine and Tim, for facilitating the questions. I am going to revert back to sharing my screen, and we'll wrap things up here with going over our admission information. Okay. Okay, so let me go, whoops, there we go. Okay, so for those of you who are attending today, we will be sending out a application fee waiver code to waive the $50 application fee. So thank you for, you know, giving up your time to join us on this webinar. As you'll see in what I have outlined here, and as you know, Tim and Catherine may have already gone over, we really strive to have a streamlined, straightforward admission process. We're not looking for, you know, folks to jump through hoops to get admitted to the program. And we've really taken into account, you know, how long it takes to gather things. And we want that to be meaningful and not just going through steps for the sake of it. So we look for one letter of recommendation. It can be from a professional, a supervisor, a mentor, or it can be from an academic advisor, an academic faculty member. Either is fine. We just ask that it's not a friend or family member. And, you know, it just gives us really great insight into you as a candidate. So does the essay. I would say, you know, we have a very holistic application review process by the committee. And the essay is of critical importance because it's our one way into seeing really who you are and what you're looking for. You know, do your goals match with what we believe the program will help you achieve? And, you know, what is your background? And, you know, what are the skill sets you're hoping to leave with? And so that essay is definitely an important part of the process. We look for an updated resume and then transcripts from each of the institutions you've attended where you've earned 6 or more credits. Now, if you're applying to the Master of Taxation or the MT degree, we're going to want, you know, the transcript from your baccalaureate degree. You know, typically this may already be in a business related or accounting field, or it could be that you came to business later on in your career and you may have gone instead for a different type of certificate or licensure. So we would want a copy of that as well. If you are a licensed CPA or you've passed the CPA exam, we would want a copy of your licensure or a copy of your uniform scores. Or if you're an individual who, you know, doesn't have that credential, you can sit for standardized tests like the GMAT or the GREs or if you've done so in the past 5 years, we would accept them. If you are an MT candidate and you have significant work experience, like 7 or more years in tax, and have a 3.0 or higher from your undergrad, or if you have an additional master's degree, we do have waivers available, and we would encourage you to reach out to Tim or Catherine to find out about that process. For our LLM students, our attorneys, we need your transcript from showing where that you referred where your degree was conferred for law school and sent to us. So here is our admission timeframe. I do want to mention that at this point today, July 27th, we also have scholarships available for the fall semester for new students. So if you're thinking about the fall but haven't yet applied or haven't completed, and you're, looking for some tuition assistance, these are by no means large scholarships, but are small awards, meant to help with gap funding. So please reach out again to our team to help with that, to find out about that process. Like I said, the fee waiver code will be sent via email along with this recording. Our deadline for the fall semester was extended to August 10th, so it's a couple of weeks from now. If you're thinking spring is actually a better time frame for you, you can apply by November 30th. Our spring application will open sometime next month after we've completed the steps for fall. We have a rolling admission review by our committee, which allows us to get decisions out rather quickly. Typically, a decision is made and sent out within 7 to 10 business days. And just so that you have the time frame in mind, for this fall semester, the first week of classes is August 29th. The first night of class would either be August 31st or September 1st that week. Our classes are usually Wednesdays and Thursdays. And for spring, if you're thinking 2023, it's a better time frame for you. Our spring semester will begin January 9th, 2023. And here's our contact information for you to reach out to us. Myself, along with my colleagues, Catherine and Tim. Like I said, we'll be following up with you after this webinar with the fee waiver code and recording. And that takes us to time. So let me stop sharing here. I just want to thank our panelists, especially from joining us all over the country, as you heard from their introductions. Thank you so much for carving out this time for us. We're grateful for you and your and donating your time today. And thank you to our attendees for joining us during your lunch hour or just giving up some time this afternoon. If you have any questions, please reach out to us, and I hope everyone has a great rest of their week. Thanks and take care, everyone.